All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. But we're going to have a show.
What up, party people? We are on the air everywhere. Yeah, the live stream is hot. You feel it? Oh, I do too, baby. Yeah, Friday. Big Friday show. It's filled with insane breaking news. The Pelosi residence, as you know, invaded by someone with a hammer, attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. We'll get to that. Twitter acquisition. Yes, we have our whole crew. You've got...
Morning.
Morning, Kim.
Morning.
Morning.
And good morning, John.
Morning.
Good morning, Tony.
Morning.
Yes. Everybody's here. I have my millennial glasses. These have been identified as the glasses that the millennials prefer. And so I'm wearing them, just kind of like to spruce up the image a little bit. Yeah. So that's what's happening today. Thank you for being here. You can reach us on the live stream through the chat, of course. On the
Why don't you just text it?
Yeah, you can just chat at us. And you can chat at the community that is this show. You can do it right there on YouTube. Share this show across your social media platforms. We've got some big things happening. I'll get back to those in a bit. I want to quickly recognize our sponsor. It's our sole sponsor. You wonder why I make such a big deal out of Steve Moskowitz. It's because I'm really excited to have someone who is, I would say, an elite sponsor, meaning he's something I can recommend to you comfortably without, sort of feeling weird about it. It's not, let's just say it's not another sponsor that you're used to hearing that would kind of maybe be in a different category. Cars for kids or, some of the things you're used to hearing.
Yeah, he doesn't want your car.
No.
So Steve is the veteran Bay Area tax attorney, over 30 years in the business. He's really good. And for whatever your tax situation is, whatever your needs may be, 888-TAX-DEAL, TAXDEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. He is also, I should mention, a great supporter of the show. He approached us about being on the show as our exclusive sponsor, so we're grateful to Steve. You can also reach him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Today's Friday. We do Friday Fabulous Florida. We'll do it bottom of the hour. The midterm races in key states are tightening. They're also, as you're aware, key races when it comes to secretaries of state across this country. Those are the people that certify elections. And so when you talk about election security, when you talk about election legitimacy, you have to talk about who those people are. As you're aware, in the last election, in the last general election, there was an attempt to reach those people who were secretaries of state, to essentially jimmy the results. And so the concern is, and the anxiety is, that that could happen again if you had secretaries of state who were more open to that kind of scenario. So, anyway, that's that.
What can you tell us about the scene?
I can tell you that things are hot and heavy, Larry. The husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi violently assaulted at home. So this is someone who broke into the Pelosi home, and it's not easy. It's a three-story place in Pacific Heights, right? It's Pac Heights.
Yeah, it's a
as
nice
we
house.
say, Pac Heights. Nice house.
Yeah, I went by. Remember when the house was vandalized and there was like a pig's head and
That's right. Yeah.
paint all over their garage door?
An assailant broke into the Pelosi residence in San Francisco, violently assaulted Mr. Pelosi. This just happened a couple hours ago. Paul Pelosi's 82. They do have a suspect in custody. What is the most unusual fact about this story already? I'm going to ask you, the audience, what is the most unusual fact before you knew anything else about this story? Guy breaks in. He was looking for Nancy Pelosi. Okay. He attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer. What is the most unusual fact about this? I'll remind you, it's America. If you guessed that no one was shot with a gun, then give yourself a ding. That to me is extraordinary.
You know what?
With every, yeah, go ahead.
Very surprised that they didn't have better security. I mean, she's the Speaker of the House, so
that certainly is surprising as well. You're
where's
right.
the
Kim, how are
staff?
you?
Where's the people? Where's the big
well,
guys?
her protective detail is with her, Kim. Her protective detail is with her, and that's in Washington D.C. In this particular instance, that's where she was.
You have to
And the police were
because
staked out around her house after that attack. You know, when the house was attacked.
Yeah, you have to figure.
Good thinking, by the way.
Her family is at risk. You know, I don't know why they don't have. I mean, these are people that are not without means. So why there's not some type of private security there, I don't know.
Kim's right. I mean, they've got hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know what there's certainly over 100 million. You know, he's a real estate.
Well,
and
he can
technology
also afford
investor.
a driver when he's in wine country.
That's true too. You'll recall he had a DUI in wine country. Yeah, there's there are some outstanding questions around where the money is spent.
I mean, accident, gets charged with the DUI, gets hit with a hammer. You know, I mean, this guy.
He's having a bad year. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. You see what the suspect shouted when he entered the home.
Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?
Where is Nancy? So why are you yelling?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you yelling?
I wonder what. I mean, there is no motive for the attack, and John's right to underscore what he was yelling, where's Nancy, because that's all we know. But there has been an insane surge in threats and confrontations of one sort or another to public officials. It's a far different America today than it used to be if you're a public official, and this is a sobering example. But there was a break-in at you mentioned at the Democratic headquarters of the Secretary of State in Arizona, I believe. That just happened this week as well. So I don't necessarily want to link these things in one sense. Obviously, one is a violent attack, one is a breaking and entering type thing. But what I want to suggest is that there is something happening with the threats of violence and actual violence being perpetrated in the new America. So that's the story on that. We'll watch it through the morning. Elon Musk picks up Twitter, $44 billion deal. He will reinstate Donald Trump, is what he's saying. He's going to lift that lifetime ban. And that's going to change Twitter dramatically. You know, I mentioned this at the time when Trump was banned. If you only want to care about the bottom line and money, you want Trump on that platform. Trump has an insane number of followers, I mean, way hot as a Twitter personality, and he feeds the platform more traffic. So if you're monetizing based on traffic, look at us. We ask you to, smash the like button.
Smash it
and
with
we
your iron rod.
Ask you to share. We ask for your support financially, which you can do in super chats and all the different ways here. But let's go back to Twitter. So same thing with that. How many people are trafficking on your platform? That is to say, how many people are coming there? Also, how many people are staying there for a long time? And engagement. How many of those people are engaged on your platform? Trump helps all of those things. So if Musk cares about the bottom line, and he does, he's already saying he's going to get rid of 3/4 of the staff. 75% of the Twitter staff is likely going to be let go. He's already let go of the 4 top people. He cares about leaning out that company, and I think changing that company, perhaps changing the, shall we say, the texture of the politics that might inform a lot of the decision-making. He wants to open up the platform, but let's make no mistake about it. Musk wants to make money off of Twitter. He paid a lot for it, and I think he wants Trump on the platform for that reason, too. And he has the cover of, well, it's a free speech platform, etc. Okay, maybe, but let's face it, Trump's good for business. So that's my take on Trump returning to Twitter and Musk paying $44 billion for it. Open to the thoughts of all assembled.
Morning.
Yeah. And your thoughts as well. I am just looking at the chats now. Here's a terrible oh, my God, Jim. Here's a terrible joke. This is the second time Paul Pelosi's been hammered in the last few weeks. All right. It's don't applaud that. Don't applaud that. Guy gets attacked. I had a question about the. I had some. Where is my? Oh, John, where are my notes?
Where are those
Hold on a
pictures?
second. Where are those pictures I was supposed to be seeing?
And I also want to know what happened to the pictures I was supposed to see this week.
I had some notes that I wanted to. I had stuff I wanted to share with you. I'll find it in a moment. The appeals court, as you know, refused Donald Trump's request to consider shielding his tax returns from the House committees, so those will be released. Nearly half of Americans think the U.S. should be a Christian nation, a poll finds. Of course, and this is the devil in the details. What is a Christian nation to you? Everybody's version of Christianity, and I think even spirituality and religion generally, may be different. But respondents differed greatly when it came to outlining what a Christian nation should look like, suggesting a wide spectrum of beliefs. Why is that? Because people have a wide spectrum of beliefs when it comes to God, when it comes to divinity, when it comes to religion. Even those who identify with an organized religion of one sort or another, they have their own version of that religion, right? John's a Reformed Catholic. We had Joe.
Recovered.
Oh, is that what they say? I'm sorry.
Some people say they're recovering. I'm fully recovered.
You're fully recovered. You were a former altar boy, so you have you have cred in this area. 45% say they think the United States should be a Christian nation. That's a lot of people. And Christian nationalism has become something that has become very much in the conversation lately. This is a Pew Research poll, by the way.
Who was having that conversation?
Who is having that conversation?
Who is having that conversation?
I am saddened by the death of Jules Bass, who helped bring Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to TV. Died at 87. Jerry Lee Lewis has
Not dead, right?
died. Then it was reported he wasn't dead. Now it's being reported that he is dead.
What?
Yes. So you have
What?
you have to go back and Kim, this is you. You have to tell us. Jerry Lee Lewis, dead or alive?
Kim, how are you?
I don't know the answer. I got the advisory that he passed away. Then I got the advisory that he was still alive. That happened yesterday. Then I got the advisory just moments ago that he's passed away. So will you please sort this out, Kim? You're our news person. So
Kim, how are you?
I'm counting on you to get that going.
What's the drop from the Princess Bride? Really and truly dead?
Yeah, is he really? He's only mostly
NBC
dead.
is reporting that he died.
Yeah, he did.
10 a.m.
Your friend here is only mostly dead.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was a report earlier this week that he died. That was retracted. And today on his website, his death was confirmed. He was 87 years old, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
There's never been anything like this.
Okay. Well, I think there has. People die all the time, sir. But thank you. But it's true that Jerry Lee Lewis, actually, there was something like it because he died already, came back. So actually, very much. So you're saying that yesterday was kind of a rehearsal for his death. Today, he's actually dead.
Too soon. Too soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. He was 87. Okay. He did marry Jerry Lee Lewis. And Kim, maybe you can look at this quickly to fill in some of the details along the way. I believe he married a 14-year-old girl.
Kim, how are you?
Am I wrong about that?
No,
Check
I
on
don't.
that, please.
I believe that you're correct on that. I recall something about this. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was Mississippi.
Yeah, it was the Deep
Just
South for sure.
saying.
It was actually, according to the fine folks at Wikipedia, it was his 13-year-old cousin, Myra Gale Brown.
Oh.
13, not 14. And cousin.
Wow, 13 years old. Well, the heart wants what it wants, I guess, and it wants a 13-year-old. That makes me cringe, but
As the
I don't
mother
know.
of a 13-year-old daughter, yuck. No.
Yeah, awkward Thanksgiving, I'll say that.
How would you handle this?
Yeah,
We could try ignoring it, sir.
yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm just saying. But he was famous, so famous people are allowed to do a lot of stuff.
And I think
I'll get to
back
the
then-
Giselle and Tom divorce in a moment. What's that, Kim? What
I
was
think back when he did it, maybe it was more acceptable. I don't know.
that? Okay, maybe. No, I think you're probably right. People. Another way to put it is people got away with more back then. I don't know how acceptable it was, but
People are doing a
that's
lot of things in Mississippi that we don't find acceptable.
exactly. Right. It's just because it's sort of a...
But that doesn't mean that it's a good thing.
That's exactly right. I'm going to get to the Brady divorce and the Giselle relationship. First, I have a question for everyone assembled. I'd like you, by the way, to hit the like button if you could. Yeah, everybody who's joined us today, please hit the like button. And now I'm going to ask all of you... I'll have a question for you here. I'm going to, let me get you
The Mark Thompson Show.
All right. This is big news, I think. If you're south of the border, let me ask you this question. To the assembled mass. Something became legal in Mexico yesterday. I wanted to share it with you. I'm going to give you multiple choice. Was it A, same-sex marriage is now legal? B, getting a driver's license at 14 is now legal? C, medical marijuana is now legal everywhere? Or D, none of the above? A, same-sex marriage, B, driver's license at 14, C, medical marijuana, or D, none of the above? I ask you, fabulous producer John Daly.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
I think it's going to be same-sex marriage.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Kim?
I'm going with John Daly.
Kim, how are you?
You guys always right. I mean, come on.
No, I'm close a lot of the time.
Yeah.
What do you say, Tony? Tony, what do you think?
Thanks, Tony. Why not?
What?
Thanks, Tony.
You
Weed.
go for the weed? All right.
Where are my weed smokers at?
The correct answer is same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? I mean, how do you go wrong? When you ask John first, my new rule is I'm always going with what he said. Whatever Daly says, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, I'm usually wrong on the numbers. When he asks how much do you think this house is worth and whatnot.
Right. Well, I just want to be clear in case people misunderstood because we were guessing. Again, it's same-sex marriage. So don't go to Mexico and think that weed has been legalized just because we played the drop of Where Are My Weed Smokers. So it is same-sex marriage. It's now legal everywhere in Mexico. So.
Or you'll end up in a Mexican jail.
And that's not a good place.
Where it's also legal.
Breakfast is stale. Come on.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Where is Steve? Do I do him here? I'm just trying to...
Steve has not joined us yet, but he'll be with us shortly.
I think I inadvertently erased my entire...
Huge happy birthday to Jeanette.
Oh, wow. Jeanette. Happy birthday. Jeanette has big fan of Mark and the crew. Today is my 53rd birthday and be honored to get a shout out. Shout out to Jeanette. Come on now. With Jeanette.
Big shout out.
Yeah. Love it, Jeanette. Thank you so much. That's so generous, and we thank you.
Happy birthday, sister.
Yeah. We love you. Smash it for Jeanette.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash that like button. We need the like button on this video, the one you're watching right now. Every video has to be liked. It's weird, but it's true. Yesterday, I got an email. Actually, right at the end of the show, it's from Randy. Because I made a point yesterday, and I'll just, when Steve comes, we'll talk to him, but I want to just make this point, because Randy has engaged with us a lot on the email, and you can do that as well. It's themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. I made the point yesterday that I think Democrats are missing a talking point, and it's an important one, and it has the additional virtue of being true, and that talking point is that it is articulated by what will likely be GOP leadership in the form of Kevin McCarthy, that the GOP wants to get rid of Social Security and Medicare, wants to pare it back. It's viewed as social spending that is leading to problems with the economy. I read you the quote from McCarthy saying as much. Randy said, do you really think, and he kind of said it, do you really think the GOP is going to get rid of that? I mean, do you really? You really think that that's, or is that just something, you know what I mean? The answer, Randy, and to everyone who doesn't take the threat of that seriously is, yeah, I do. I could have said the same thing to you about Roe v. Wade. Do you really think the Supreme Court is they're going to roll back a standing law that all of America essentially in polling is behind, that will create huge divisive issues in this country state by state? Do you really think they're going to do it? Yeah, they do. They did. They are. And I would say this applies to any number of things when it comes to GOP agenda. It's an agenda item. And to mollify their base, they have to do that. Mollify is a ding word.
This is their Christian nation that they want.
I very much take the threat of the loss of Social Security and Medicare seriously. And let me say one other thing to Randy and others who don't take it seriously, perhaps potentially anyway. George Bush tried to do it. Yeah, the younger George Bush tried to privatize Social Security. Now, that was an insane idea, but it was a huge gift to banking institutions and Wall Street institutions. They were essentially going to let you take that pot of money that is your Social Security retirement and let you invest it, have it invested along the way. There are all kinds of different versions of this, but Bush articulated this. This was a plan. Look it up. Google it.
Google it.
So changing Social Security, which had been the third rail of politics, was very much in the conversation. It has been before, and it will be again. So I point that out to those of you who don't take it seriously, perhaps Randy among them, but I appreciate nonetheless that you engaged with us yesterday. I was just out of time, so I saw your text, but I couldn't get back to you. So, Eric Kennedy, you can usually substitute the words the economy for yacht money for billionaires. Yeah, I mean, look at these things that are done for the economy that benefit the wealthiest among them and the institutions of wealth. And I include the institutions of wealth, I include in that group the military-industrial complex. You don't see a conversation about cutting back on the defense budget. In fact, Democrats and Republicans, they both have the military-industrial complex smell all over them. And as I've told you before, the military-industrial complex, they're smart. They drop a little bit of the production of weapons and the jobs and the money associated with this insane budget that goes to the Pentagon. They drop a little bit of that budget in all 50 states. So everybody has an interest in supporting that budget. But you don't see any talk of cutting that back. But Social Security and Medicare, that you could even have that conversation, is extraordinary to me. So I take it very seriously, and I think you should too. It's our chat. You know, I want to reflexively say 415-8088-10.
That won't get you very far.
Don't call that number anymore. Yeah.
I don't even know if that number still works. Don't call that. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. Don Snyder, are you kidding me? Don Snyder with $55.
Ooh, thank you, Don.
Thank
What's
you,
the
pal.
number
so
to the
much.
Mark Thompson show? It's
That's a big shout out.
Big shout out
at gmail.com. That's what we have so far. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson show at gmail.com. You can also join us in the chat, as I told you.
Why don't you just text it?
Get right into the chat room. You can interact with our community, and you can interact with the show. So all of that. Friday Fabulous Florida still to come. Kim's News still to come. Much to do on the big show.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
There is. There is. Can I do the Brady Giselle thing since Steve's not here yet? So this has been rumored. Tom Brady had a what's that?
So you're taking all my news stories. I mean, you took the Pelosi with the hammer.
Well,
now you're taking the. I mean,
hey, you used to do it to us. So
why don't I even do it? I mean, what's my point here?
All's fair. On the
Kim,
Mark
how are
Thompson
you?
Show.
All right. So here's what you do, Kim. I think you still do the story. I mean, it's worthy of news, but that's the reason we're talking about it. You still do the story. You can just do that thing where you go, as we've been talking about, and and then just do the story.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah. So don't worry about the.
If you're talking about it, we're talking about it.
Right.
Kim, how are you?
There you go. You've got the whole deal.
I feel naked in the cold now. Thanks.
Well, you can fill in the details on this because I don't know all the details of this Giselle of Tom Brady's story. I know that he's wildly handsome. She's beautiful. They're rich. Here's a little something on them. There they are, the cute couple. How could anything go wrong with this storybook relationship? Here's a little bit of the ABC setup from our pal Juju Chang, who's a friend of the show.
Tom Brady, Giselle Bundchen. Bigger than life. The A-list power couple who appeared to have it all.
Giselle, straight ahead!
Wealth, fame, wedded bliss. She, among the most famous and photographed supermodels in the world, gracing the covers of over 1,200 magazines, starring in ads for luxurious companies like Dolce & Gabbana.
Yes.
He, the star quarterback. Many call him the greatest of all time, winning 7 Super Bowls for the Patriots and the Bucks, inspiring fans with his drive to win.
Yes,
and his
so
longevity
inspired.
In a physically brutal sport.
It is amazing.
The couple
He's
wed in
amazing.
2009 and had 2 kids. Brady also has a son from his previous relationship with actress Bridget Moynihan. But now, their marriage could be on the rocks. The New York Post reporting the NFL great and the supermodel are hiring divorce attorneys amidst headlines hinting of turmoil. ABC has not independently confirmed this report.
Going to a divorce lawyer doesn't necessarily mean your marriage is ending, but at least they'll know what is ahead of them if they choose to go this route.
Skip ahead to the divorce already, will you? Skip ahead, please, Tony. This is, I got it.
And I would like him to be more present.
Stop for a second. I've told you this, and it's true. And that is that this is not about him playing football. I absolutely do not believe it. This is absolutely not about him playing football. One of the things that attracted her to him was that he was a star quarterback. He's handsome. He's muscular. He's an athlete. He's a star quarterback. He is a star. She doesn't care that he's playing football. I absolutely don't believe it. I think this is a way to throw us off the scent for what's really happening. And
I feel like he didn't put her first. He said he was going to retire. She pretty much gave up much of her career for him. And finally, he's going to retire. He announces his retirement. She thinks she's getting her husband back and that maybe now it's her turn to do some projects. And then he reneges. And so that's what you have, is that he put his career first again.
Yeah. I will just say that that's I think that's the published report part of this. I don't really feel as though it has anything to do with why they're breaking up. I just feel as though a marriage is private, and who knows, why. Really, who knows why they're really breaking up? But I know why they're not breaking up, because he's playing football. That's not the reason. It just isn't. I'm sure of it. I'm certain.
Feels great, baby.
I just think that it's too much who he is.
Seriously, what the?
But anyway, I guess we disagree about that, Kim. Giselle and Tom, though, headed for divorce. Somebody said, who cares about Giselle and Tom? Why are you even talking about this? Somebody else, Jim, says, the divorce is Biden's fault. There's no other explanation, but it's Biden. Exactly. Can't we discuss anything else besides this guy cheating? She was mighty peed. She was mighty pissed when he went back to football. I don't know, John. I guess you and Kim agree. I just don't think that's what's going on. Kathy says, isn't Ron Owens in Arizona now? Would really like to hear his take on the midterms from there. Many in your audience have followed Ron through his health journey. How's he doing? He'd be a great guest. I'll answer that by telling you that I talk to Ron all the time. He's doing great. I asked him to join us, and he wants to join us, but feels as though he doesn't. It's not the best Ron Owens. I think he sounds great, but I'm not just saying that. I think he sounds great, but he's used to functioning at the very highest levels, and now with health challenges, he just doesn't, I think, feel that. This is my interpretation anyway, that he just, because we love each other. Ron and I are like family. So I would love to have him on the show. The door's always open. So I don't know. I think that's the reason. He just doesn't want to, he doesn't feel like he's the old Ron Owens. You know what I mean? So it's like Tom Brady. Maybe he should have retired a year ago. So Ron did, and Ron left at the top. Ron was amazing.
How do you see Tom's comment?
Tom Dusenberry says she'll be deflating his balls now. Yeah, you know the deflation. What is it? What was it called?
Deflategate.
Deflategate.
That was it. Yeah, Deflategate. All right, much to do. We've got Friday Fabulous Florida, Michael Shore on politics and the midterms. We'll get his take on things. It's going to be a great show, good show. Michael Snyder joins us as well. So Snyder will talk about all things movies and television. And you can throw into it as well. Please hit the like button and join our chat. You can do that on YouTube, of course. You can comment on the show, by the way, even if you're watching the show back on YouTube. So
and people are. They are.
People are. And the last thing I'll mention is that our KGO and Exile T-shirts are flying off the shelves. There's an unlimited number of them. So I hope you get one if you want one.
And PayPal is back.
Oh, PayPal is on the themarkthompsonshow.com. Themarkthompsonshow.com. If you go to themarkthompsonshow.com, you click on Contribute, and you can join with our patrons on Patreon for a monthly donation, or you can even make a one-time donation. A lot of you have said we want to make a one-time push to help you keep the lights on. That's through the PayPal link, which is also now back up at themarkthompsonshow.com. So thanks for all the ways you get. And if you want the shirt, it's getmarkmerch.com. It's getmarkmerch.com. So there you have it. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I don't know what the hell my point is. I mean, you already did all my news. All right, here we go.
Screw it, we'll do it live.
Yeah.
This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The intruder who attacked House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's 82-year-old husband was apparently looking for her as well. Outlets, including the Wall Street Journal, are reporting today that the attacker yelled out, asking about the location of the California Democrat. Paul Pelosi attacked with a hammer while he was in their home in San Francisco's Pacific Heights this morning. He is expected to fully recover, and the attacker is in custody. The speaker was in Washington, D.C. at the time of that incident. More than 1.8 million California voters have returned their ballots so far. Every registered voter in the state to mail-in ballot, and according to the statewide voter registration database VoteCal, more Californians are voting early this year. Election officials assure voters it's safe and secure. It's a great way to get your vote in. You can also track your ballot, check if it was counted by signing up online at Where's My Ballot. Once you enter your name, date of birth, and zip code, you can actually track your ballot and get notifications on where it is. It only tracks the envelope, though, not what's inside. You can start tracking about a week after mailing your ballot in. As Mark mentioned, Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen are getting a divorce. Today, they announced they are ending their 13-year-long marriage, saying they amicably this decision. Brady's statement said, "We arrived at this decision to end our marriage after much consideration. Doing so is, of course, painful and difficult, like it is for many people who go through the same thing every day around the world." Also, as mentioned, rock and roll legend Jerry Lee Lewis is dead at the age of 87. A report from earlier this week that he had died had been retracted. Now his death is being confirmed today on his website. Former President Trump celebrating Elon Musk taking over as the owner of Twitter. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the social media outlet is now in sane hands. Musk had faced criticism for saying he would unban Trump's account. The pasta company Barilla, I'm not sure if it's Barilla or Barilla, they're facing a class action suit over claims the pasta was made in Italy when actually it's made in Iowa and New York. The company uses logos with the Italian flag coloring and the slogan, "Italy's #1 brand of pasta." Iowa attorney Andrew Reed says if you read the packaging, though, it says it's made in Iowa and New York. Forbes listing the Golden State Warriors as the most valuable franchise in the NBA. The Warriors' value, which includes the Chase Center in San Francisco, is estimated to be $7 billion. New York Knicks came in second on the list at $6.1 billion. The Lakers third, 5.9 billion, Chicago $4.1 billion, and the Boston Celtics at $4 billion, rounding out the top five. Joe Lacob and Peter Gruber bought the Warriors in 2010 for a total of $450 million. The Warriors last season generated $765 million in revenue. That's the most in league history. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can reach him on the web, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson.
Oh my God.
No.
How would you have us? We could try ignoring it, sir.
It's fantastic.
Who is having that conversation?
Sayonara, sucker.
Morning.
Can you let him finish, sir?
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Smash it, people. Happy Halloween. Little Halloweeny. Oh, yeah. Oh, very, 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 very haunty. I love it. Thank you for being here on this Friday. Yeah, got the whole crew. Halloween feel is right. Yeah. I love how people in the chat room, David, thank you. I want to recognize all my supporters.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, David Mills, $20 on the Super Chat. Catherine Charo, $20.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine. Very cool. Brian, Sharks win, Warriors win. Come on, Brian.
Big shout out.
Shout out. Jorge Rivera, happy Friday. To Nikki, to me, the fabulous producer John Daly, everyone else. Come on, Jorge.
Big shout out.
Is it George or Jorge? Shout out to George and Jorge. Elwin, can we see Kim live on camera? I don't know.
I can't afford a camera.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, maybe with your donation. Thank you for your generous. Elwin is a regular, almost daily donation of one sort or another. So maybe there are those of you who donate daily. It's so cool of you.
Yeah.
And maybe we can reach the threshold by which Kim can be seen. I don't know. It's up to Kim. That is we don't foist that responsibility on anyone but me. So
we have to bring all the iron rods together.
Yeah, we do. It will take a lot of iron rods. Tony, thank you for getting the whole system together. Tony's our technical ninja.
Tony, what angered you?
And
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Smash it. The like is important in the world of YouTube. So show us a little love. And we appreciate it. What they do is they look at the number of people who are watching your stream. I'm learning so much about YouTube. Most of it I hate. Well, and I have to say, I'm grateful to YouTube because it allows us to stream and be with you all. And we're talking about other ways that we can stream at the same time. But I'll get to that next week. We got a lot of conversations. As you know, we've been ramping this up in a big, big hurry. But I thank the fates that this technology exists, and we wanted it to be easy for you to interact and create a community. That is happening, and it's really happening in surprisingly cool ways. But there are also a lot of frustrating things, and there are a lot of interesting things. So one of the maybe interesting / frustrating things is the number of times you have likes on videos relative to the number of people watching your videos. That's important. So that's why we ask you to like every video, to smash it. And so when you smash it, they look at the number of people who smashed versus the number of people who watched, and they come up with some kind of algorithm. So it just helps us in the algorithmic world of YouTube. So, any other things I need to read and share? No. So I can, without any further delay, go to the guy who makes it all possible in so many ways. He is the great Steve Moskowitz. Steve, good morning. Welcome to this Friday morning edition of the Mark Thompson Show. Thank you for being our exclusive sponsor.
Happy and proud to be there, Mark. As I talk with my clients, more and more of my clients say they are so happy to hear both you and Nikki on the air, and I'm glad I could be part of it.
Well, you're more than just a part of it. You really are a huge reason that we can sustain ourselves right now. So thank you. I want to ask you, and I know we talk about ERC a lot, but I feel like even I learned something more about ERC in many of these conversations. Probably the biggest revelation I've had is that small business owners, even sole proprietors, can be beneficiaries of ERC, which is government money.
So if you have a business, say a small corporation, and your sole and only employee is yourself, as long as your corporation gives you a W-2, yes, you can have ERC for your corporation employing you. And this ERC works for one employee up to 500. If you have more than 500, it's a special rule. But if you have more than 500, I'll go over that with you privately. And the bottom line is, it's such a big deal because the government's just giving away the money. They're giving away, it's a grant, it's not a loan. They just give you the money, do whatever you want with it. And they'll give you up to $26,000 for every employee that you have in 2020 and 2021 that qualifies. And I realize everybody's facts, circumstances, and results can differ. But Mark, we've had individual clients that have gotten a couple $1 million. And we have lots and lots and lots that get hundreds of thousands, 300, 500. And then we have clients that get smaller amounts too. But, you start to get wrapped up in it. Somebody says, I only got $50,000. Well, $50,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people.
Who says I only had $50,000?
Well, you get wrapped up in the numbers because when you're dealing with 300, 500, and 2 million, somebody's 50. Oh, it was only 50, but what the heck? So the bottom line is, as long as it's basically free money from the government, as long as you qualify, you should get it. And that's what I want to warn everybody about, because there's the two extremes you have to watch out for. There's two different ways to qualify, and the law clearly says either or. So one way is a real easy way. Did your gross revenue drop by a certain amount? It's math. You either did or it didn't, nothing to talk about. 1 and 1 is 2, that's it, there's nothing to argue about. But a lot of firms are stopping there and say, well, if it didn't drop, no ERC for you. Wrong. There's a second way. It's called a full or partial closure test, a facts and circumstances situation. For example, all businesses in the state of California from the beginning of the pandemic until June 15th, 2021, were ordered to only use 25% of the inside of their business. Even an essential business like a food store like Safeway could only use their store 25% for business. That means there was a government-imposed 75% closure. That can qualify you. Supply chain disruptions, that can qualify you. A ton of things. I could take up your whole show saying this and this and this. So the bottom line is we'll take the time and the effort and we'll sit down with you and we'll go over all that. Not everybody qualifies, but a lot of people do. And if you qualify, we'll tell you. If you don't, we'll tell you. Either way, you'll know why you qualify or don't qualify. And the other thing that I urge you to do is avoid the fraudsters, because the IRS is investigating. There's been a lot of fraud. There are companies that have gone into existence just to do the CRC application. They didn't exist before, and they're not going to exist again. They're just going to disappear. And they're saying everybody qualifies, and they're committing frauds. Obviously, my first legal advice to all your viewers, do not commit tax fraud. Obviously, you never want to commit any type of fraud. So you want to steer clear of that, but you also want to steer clear of the companies and CPAs that are not talking to you about the second allowed method. We're a law firm. We've been practicing tax law for over 30 years. We know the difference. We'll sit down with you. We'll talk to you. If you don't qualify, we'll tell you why. But if you do qualify, and a lot of you do, let's get every dollar to which you're legally entitled. Even if your gross revenue didn't go down, may have gone up, but if you qualify otherwise, let's get your free money.
I love the last part because you may look at it, you may eyeball it, you may check it out with others. Because your gross revenue went up, you might think, well, I'm not eligible. I didn't really suffer any kind of loss.
You know how your gross revenue can go up and you still suffer? One of my clients expressed it perfectly. He used to pay $7 for a unit of something he sold. The price went up to $22 a unit. He had to raise his prices to cover costs. So his gross revenue actually went up, but he lost a lot of business.
Sure, the cost went up. That's great. I love that example. And I think there's so many people who are eligible for this. Call Steve. I'm getting questions. Am I eligible? Is this eligible? Is that eligible? That's why we give you the number. Please call Steve and ask. Say, hey, I was watching you on the Mark Thompson show. I just wanted to ask you if I am eligible. And Steve can answer the question. 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Or you can reach him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. I love that you spend time with us, and you're a great asset to us, as you know, and I hope people will find you as important to their lives as you've been to ours. So thanks, Steve Moskowitz. We'll talk to you next hour.
Love being on your show.
All right, my friend. There you go.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I don't really think there's any time to delay. I've got to get out into Florida, don't I, John Daly? Isn't that what we need to do? All right. It's Friday. We like to go to the Sunshine State.
Gators today. Yeah.
Yeah, Gators and maybe Pythons if we have time.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
Florida be doing weird. Florida is gator country, as you know. A Florida man is bitten while trying to remove a gator from his property.
Let me tell you what the moral of this story is.
Yeah, at first that kind of freaks because I didn't know what to do.
For the love of all that is good, double check under your cars.
Stay away. They're going to get you.
For the love that is of all that is good. Check under your car, people. If you take nothing else from this message, please.
Kind of freaks because I didn't know what to do.
For the love of all that is good, double check under your cars.
Stay away. They're going to get you.
But that's just where the story ends.
I'm here just moving out of my house and there's a gator in the carport.
Aja Dickerson is where it begins.
I called 911.
All she wanted was a normal Tuesday morning.
Still blood there. There's splatter.
There's blood splatter?
Yeah.
Okay. And all she got was a gator out front.
He was underneath a U-Haul truck in a carport.
This invader gator was blatantly trespassing on private property.
It was intense.
So Aja made a quick decision. She went and got a neighbor who she knew would have the right tools.
He's a dog trainer, so he came out with like gloves and a sweatshirt.
You can train the gator to go get the paper, but he can't necessarily get the gator out. Okay, that's what dog trainers are, not necessarily gator removal people.
He came out with like gloves and a sweatshirt. Like he kind of knew what he was doing.
Well, I like that if you just come out with a sweatshirt, she ascribes a certain credibility to your situation.
Tools. He's a dog trainer, so he came out with like gloves and a sweatshirt. Like he kind of knew what he was doing, but that gator was fast. He moved too fast.
We have a picture of the gator up on screen if you want to see it.
It just didn't go well.
It was a very athletic gator.
Yes.
The athletic gator then became an angry gator and latched onto the guy's arm.
Someone had a broomstick and they used the broomstick to help pry open the gator's mouth.
Oh my God. I guess you got to go with what you have available. You got to sort of MacGyver the situation, but broomstick seems inadequate to the task.
And latched onto the guy's arm.
Someone had a broomstick and they used the broomstick to help pry open the gator's mouth so he could get his arm out.
I mean, I couldn't believe some of this, so I called FWC. They confirmed that the man tried to remove the alligator himself and sustained injuries to his arm, and the trespassing gator was relocated.
I was like, oh my God, are you okay?
How does Aja feel now that it's gone?
He never really did anything. He would just hang out, really. So, I mean, it's kind of sad.
Because
so now you're sad that you kind of went after the gator so hard. He was fine. He wasn't bothering anybody. He found a place to chill there in the carport.
Yeah, Mark, but he was trespassing. It's in the report.
It's a trespassing gator.
Hang out, really. So, I mean, it's kind of sad.
Because she is not and will never be a gator hater.
He was like the neighborhood pet.
Listen to me right now. Do not, under zero circumstances, keep a wild alligator as a neighborhood pet. Number 2, do not call 911 if you see an alligator in your driveway or anywhere where it is a nuisance. Call the FWC hotline, 866-392-4286. And number 3.
Yeah, right. Can you remember 911 or can you remember that other number?
FWC hotline, 866-392-4286.
I mean, I've already forgotten it.
1-866.
It's 492 cars for kids. I got a gator in my carport. If I keep calling the cars for kids number.
If only he could say it faster.
Oh, my God. That's right. He really didn't linger on the number. John's right.
392-4286. And number 3, don't try to catch the gator yourself.
Yeah.
Why?
Don't try to catch the gator yourself. Well,
Get a dog trainer. Get a dog trainer.
That's right. If there's a dog trainer in your neighborhood, you're in good shape.
Roll over.
Yeah. I mean, he got chomped, Kim. The dog trainer guy got chomped. Yeah. Things didn't work out too well for him. Yeah. DeSantis is the governor.
They had to call it a contracted nuisance alligator. I mean, there's so many of them. A nuisance alligator trapper was dispatched.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that does seem to be sort of the specific job title you need to handle the situation.
In Florida,
the old law firm of Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis got millions in state funds during his tenure.
What?
It's being reported by the Daily Beast. 2 law firms, Holland and Knight and Holtzman Vogel, got millions of dollars in state business in recent years from DeSantis' administration. According to data, Holland and Knight, where DeSantis previously worked as a civil litigator before his congressional campaign, got little in the way of contracts with the state of Florida through 2018. But then 2018 rolled around, and from 2018 to 2020, the law firm got nearly $3 million from representing the state in various lawsuits, including the mail-in voter restrictions, foster home care inadequacies, a major case on felon voting rights. Millions of dollars all of a sudden go to this firm that used to be inhabited by Ron DeSantis. All the work was reportedly assigned to one lawyer from the firm, George Maros, who counseled the Florida state government as an outside advisor. So you've got one guy at that firm pocketing a boatload of that money. In August of 2020, Maros left the firm. Since then, it's not signed any new contracts with state agencies, according to the latest data. He is in a public records lawsuit. He allegedly pressured his law firm into dropping a case from the Miami Herald, asking the state to hand over COVID-19 data on its senior care facilities. You remember that whole the leak that took place in DeSantis's world as to where the money was going and how things were being handled in senior care facilities? Anyway, it gets a little complicated, but this is the same firm that represented Donald Trump in his 2020 election lawsuits. And they had, again, not received any contracts from state agencies according to state data, okay? But between that, through 2021, they had received $2.2 million and $550,000 in controversial election law-related cases. By the way, in September, DeSantis appointed partners from both Holland and Knight and Holtzman Vogel to the First District Court of Appeals Judicial Nominating Commission. So the ties of Ron DeSantis to his old law firm and to the people at his old law firm run strong. A man is arrested after stealing a scooter in Miami, and he led the cops on a pursuit.
What?
Roberto Duggins, 30 years old, is facing charges including robbery, carjacking, fleeing, and eluding police, and no valid driver's license.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Well, I'm looking at it. It's easy to get it in order. Robbery, carjacking, fleeing, eluding police, no valid driver's license. And, I might add, leaving the scene of a crash causing property damage, according to the arrest report. This incident did, on Wednesday morning. A woman said she was heading to work on her scooter, had come to a stop at Northeast 38th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. You know where that is, John?
Yeah. Right down the street from the Whole Foods and the Publix.
Thank you. The woman said a man later identified as this guy Duggins approached her on her scooter, you see.
Oh, she got scooter jacked.
Get off the bike or I'm going to hurt you, the guy said.
Oh.
When she didn't respond, he got closer and whispered, "Do you speak English?" She pushed him away, and he started to punch her on her head. She was wearing a helmet, though. He was able, though, to push her off the scooter, and he fled the scene on her scooter.
Not the reason you think you would need a helmet.
No, crashed into another vehicle. A few minutes later, Duggins went into a CVS where he stole... What did he steal from the CVS? I guess alcohol.
Are you willing to bet?
No. He stole laundry detergent.
Morning.
Yeah.
Morning.
Duggins drove the scooter onto a sidewalk, fled the cops, driving against traffic. He made his way to I-95, then onto the Golden Glades Exchange, then westbound on the Palmetto Expressway. You know where that is, John, all of these places.
You're basically going in circles.
Yeah. Duggins was eventually taken into custody at Northeast 2nd Court and Northeast 183rd Street. Those of you who are plotting Friday Fabulous Florida on your big cork boards, that's where he was finally taken down and booked, being held on $16,500 bond. What's hot in Florida? Yeezys. Florida man burns multiple pairs of Yeezys in protest.
What are Yeezys? Is that the pants that he makes?
Kanye West makes these shoes. They're called Yeezys.
Okay. It's never Yeezy in this business.
It's never. Oh, my God. John is so good. Yeah.
It's not easy being a racist. Yeah.
Yeah. It's never easy.
I've told you, it's never easy being in this business.
Thank you very much. Okay, better late than never. Danny Schiff is his name. He purchased about 40 pairs of Yeezy shoes over the years. About $15,000 worth of those shoes went up in flames. He says he's doing it because he's angry about the rapper's latest anti-Semitic comments. Schiff says he's about $25,000 worth of shoes, but he's burning them. The rest of the shoes he's going to auction off and triple the profit, he says, and donate it to a charity fighting racism and anti-Semitism. Wow. There's a guy who walks the walk, huh? A Florida man is charged for stealing nearly $10 million in meat. It's the big meat heist in Florida. 3 Florida men, when you have that much meat, you need more than 1 Florida man. 3 have been charged for stealing millions of dollars worth of meat. This isn't just like a quick heist at a Publix. The arrests followed a month-long investigation by the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. That's right. The investigation began when the Sheriff's Office was notified several semi-trailers with loads of frozen beef had been stolen in Nebraska. They were worth an estimated $1 million. Further investigation with federal officials in Omaha revealed 45 additional thefts. They made those thefts in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. All of those totaled $9 million. They later determined this is a highly sophisticated organized crime enterprise, and it was based out of Miami. And that's what brought them to Florida. So,
Joe Fish, Sal the Shoemaker, Joe Box, and Little Anthony.
Yeah, there were a lot of, it was that kind of operation. Mobsters involved. They identified 3 people. Joe Box is not among them. Yoslani Leyva, 38 years old, 37-year-old Ladir Andino, and 39-year-old Delvis El Fuente. They've all been taken down in connection with this meat thievery.
And that story was sent in by listener Mo.
Mo, thank you, Mo. Shout out to Mo.
Doesn't Mo have a brother?
Well, Mo Black has a brother, if that's what
Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy.
Yeah, Fat Andy is Mo Black's brother. If it's Mo Black, I don't know if it is, but Florida man is accused of pouring bleach into his coworker's drink. He did it because his coworker is difficult to work with.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been there.
Sometimes, if everybody's difficult to work with, maybe it's you that's difficult to work with. You ever think, Mr. Bleach Pourer? Yeah. Maybe the answer is in the mirror. Just a thought. He's a Florida Dollar General employee. Been arrested for allegedly pouring bleach. Allegedly gets a ding, please. Into his coworker's drink after an argument. Jerome Ellis is his name. Was arrested on charges of poisoning food or water and tampering with evidence after video surveillance shows Ellis pouring bleach into his coworker's can of Pepsi.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this. If your job is at Florida Dollar General, is that the dollar store in Florida?
Yes.
I'm assuming. Then maybe it is hard to get another job in Florida, but it doesn't sound like you're in a place that, it's hard to find another job like that. So if you don't like your coworker, why don't you just go find another job?
Kim with more practical advice for...
You could wrangle gators.
Yeah.
There's a need for
right?
that.
You could be
It's really too bad
trapper.
that this guy, Jerome Ellis, hadn't had a chance to speak with Kim. Kim could have maybe redirected him from his plan
your coworker's
to
Pepsi.
poison a Pepsi and try to get rid of a coworker.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
As it turns out, and I'll just take you through the caper, he placed a Pepsi that he was drinking on a counter before going to the restroom. When he came back and took a drink from the can, it tasted like bleach. That's what he said to the cops. But there is video surveillance showing Ellis pouring bleach into the Pepsi can, while the person whose Pepsi it was was the victim of this. They were in the bathroom. He also reportedly wiped the can off, walked away, and came back to spit in the drink.
Ew.
It wasn't enough there was bleach in there. He really didn't like this coworker. He said that there was no argument between himself and the victim, that he went behind the counter with the cleaning solution, spilled some in that general area. So his story began to change, but there was video footage, as I say, of the entire thing. By the way, I'll mention one thing. He tried to unplug the camera system before he did this. So he attempted to obscure and conceal this caper.
Maybe he was just trying to help him with his cleansing, with bleach.
Oh,
some other
there is the light, and so the second part of light inside the body
Supposing you brought the light
is
inside
the bleach
body, which you can do,
and the full cleaning.
In some other way.
Because
and then I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute.
Yeah.
1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that?
Yeah. Well, maybe
by injection inside or almost a cleaning, because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that.
Yeah. Jerome Ellis, too bad. You could have worked in the last administration working on that light inside the body and bleach injection thing. That is Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
We are a little bit behind. We have to choose a favorite. You and the audience can indicate what your favorite is. So please feel free to just...
Why don't you just text it?
You can text it right into the chat. Even if you're watching this in replay, you can text it into the chat. A Florida man bitten while trying to remove the alligator from the carport. DeSantis' old law firm getting millions in state funds once he became governor. Florida man leads police on a chase down I-95 on a stolen scooter. The Florida dude who burned multiple pairs of Yeezys, Kanye's shoes. Florida man charged with stealing nearly $10 million in meat. Those three guys. And the Florida dude accused of pouring bleach into the coworker's drink for being difficult to work with. I ask you, Kim, for your favorite, please.
I am always going to choose. I think it's a safe bet.
She dropped out. What is her favorite?
Kim, how are you?
What is her favorite?
I'm choosing the gator.
Gator.
Kim, how are you?
Okay. And then what about you? John Daly. Fabulous.
I'm going with gator because I'm not a gator hater.
Okay. And Tony, we need a favorite from you, please.
Thanks, Tony.
Carport gator.
Carport gator. I think we're all, I don't know. I will say the bleach and the gator are kind of a photo finish for me because I used to do a show called Busted on the Job. I used to voice this show. It was really popular at the time. I was voicing it. I think we did 5 different specials. They were on Fox. It was really so. They used to be security cameras trained on different workplaces, and a guy urinated into the coffee pot, and he served, and that coffee was serving the entire office. So when I saw the bleach thing, it kind of reminded me of that Busted on the Job thing. So I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for that sort of sabotage. That's my own little backstory. I mean, I'm not saying it's germane necessarily, but what I would say is I'm with you. It's it's the alligator. We talk politics in the next hour. Michael Shore is joining us as he does on Fridays. If you have a question for Michael Shore, something you want us to bring up in conversation, please just text it in to the YouTube chat. Don't forget to smash that like button, thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button, and we will rock some news and then be back on the other side. So,
why are you yelling?
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The White House says President Biden is praying for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's 82-year-old husband after he was violently attacked. It happened inside the San Francisco Pacific Heights home of the Pelosi's this morning. CNN reporting a hammer used to attack Paul Pelosi. He was taken to the hospital, but he is expected to make a full recovery. A key inflation figure steadily rising, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, which looks at the cost of goods and services, ticked up by 5.1% on a year-over-year basis in September. The news comes as the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates yet again next week in an effort to fight inflation. New data is revealing that COVID death rates were higher among essential workers in 2020. The National Center for Health Statistics found people who worked in occupations like food preparation, construction, and social services had higher death rates during the beginning of the pandemic. The highest rates among workers in protective service occupations, accommodation, and food service industries. After being in charge for about an hour, the social media company's new owner, Elon Musk, fired several top executives. Musk fired the CEO, the CFO, and other top executives. Chevron Corporation today reporting earnings of $11.2 billion in the third quarter. That compares to $6.1 billion a year ago. Sales and other operating revenues totaled $64 billion. It's an increase of $21 billion versus last year. And the head of the Miss USA pageant being suspended over claims the competition is rigged. After the pageant was held October 3rd, several contestants took to social media to suggest there was favoritism toward Miss Texas. Crystal Stewart denies the allegations and will remain suspended while officials conduct a full review. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call at 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can look for him on the at MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson.
We've never seen anything like it before.
Nobody has ever put something like this together
Have you ever seen anything like this?
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
I have never heard of something like that.
There's never been anything like this.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy.
Joe Fish, Sal the Shoemaker, Joe Box, and Little Anthony.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Big shout out. Thanks, Pat.
Tony, what angered you?
Yes, you can.
Thanks, Tony.
Smash it with your iron rod.
cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
Calling me a liar? Is that what you calling me?
You, sir, are a liar.
No context will suffice to explain the hurt and anguish caused by my words. I offer this sincere apology to you today. I regret that your first impression of me is one of anger, hate, and resentment.
Yes. Welcome back. Kim's News, of course, leading with the Pelosi story. It's shocking to have a residence in Pacific Heights that you would think would be, pretty well. Okay, can we? I'm trying to make a point around here.
Hey, we're headed to North Beach.
Kind of an Italian Mediterranean thing. It's good, but I'm trying to make a point.
Why are you yelling?
All right, look. Smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube right now, whether you're watching after the fact or you're watching us in real time, and we appreciate you being part of things.
With your iron rod.
And I also want to just mention that you can make a supportive donation to this show through super stickers and also through the super chat. If you do enter the super chat and you have something to say, I will read it because it's attached to, as I say, a donation. So
100% effective. How about that?
It is 100% effective in getting me to respond. And by the way, if you have anything for the conversation with upcoming political talk with Michael Schor, I'll integrate that into the conversation as well. And now, without any further delay, he joins us on Fridays. He's so generous with his time because he gets nothing for being here. Michael Schor. In fact, it might cost him in a weird way, reputationally. But
right, well,
yeah.
There is a cost to it, but
these are tough times also for Michael Schor, and I'll tell you why. Because the Niners have hit a little skid, and he is one of the biggest Niners fans I've ever met. And I'm really concerned for them with all that talent. They seem to not be able to find magnetic north, Michael Schor.
Well, the talent is on the field. On the sidelines, we're not so sure about the talent anymore.
So you think it's a poorly coached team right now?
Well, I think that the head coach is a good football coach, and he designs unbelievable offensive plays, but I don't think he calls them very well.
And so wrong plays at the wrong time.
That's what you've always said, yeah.
Okay.
So, Mark, a lot of people, and these are the things that we now know because we can see one another. A lot of people they build sets to look like a home or an office, but in fact, your home/office does the opposite. It looks like a set.
Well, thank you for saying that. It looks like a quickly cobbled together set because that's what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks like there are above the windows, there is that there's nothing but space, and the light is not natural light. It's fantastic.
Oh, well, I thank you for saying that because it doesn't.
It's fantastic.
It doesn't feel fantastic. It feels we're really, to use the now off-used metaphor, we're building the plane while we're flying it or whatever. It really is that. So
you've been busted on the job, Mark.
Yeah, I've been busted on the job. So a very good reference to it. It's a fine series, very popular. You should YouTube search it, and good to see Michael Schor. People that's true. I never thought of that. You usually join by phone on the old radio station, but here people can actually see you. Yeah.
Is it okay to say Michael Schor's cute?
He is cute. I agree. I think it's more than okay.
I would just say, that's probably okay.
Yeah.
Girl, you just woo.
Yeah, girl, you're just you. Ooh, Michael. So Michael Schor, so much happened this week politically, and I'd love to get your drill down on what you feel is most important. I mean, there was a high-profile debate in Pennsylvania. There was the revelations with Trump. You can tell me how you think the new Twitter is going to affect elections going forward. I don't think it'll have any effect in the midterms yet. And then those things that seem to be talking points, I'd love to get to that for the Republicans that have to do with crime. Even though some of the worst crime statistics are in red states. It's a weird thing, but that oftentimes the details aren't important. It's the talking point that carries the day.
And the cities in those red states sometimes in the political dialogue supersede the state itself. So that's a big part of it. You look at New York and you look at what's going on in the tightening of the governor's race there. It's because of New York City. I mean, it's because of Buffalo, and it's because of Rochester, and it's because of rising crime in different places, or the perception that crime is not being attended to, which is, of course, not the reality. But that's what plays on this. So the red state thing doesn't matter as much as the cities that dominate the conversation in some of those red states. And before we get to that, we should talk quickly about Paul Pelosi and just, well, both how horrible this is and how wonderful it is to know that he's going to be okay. He's having brain surgery. They say he's going to make a full recovery. I don't know the depths of that surgery. But the fact that he's going to have brain surgery is serious enough, and that he's going to make a full recovery. And the assailant, who I believe is 42 years old, has been arrested and charged with homicide, elder abuse, and everything that goes along with that, assault with a deadly weapon. But this reminds me of Gabrielle Giffords, right? It reminds me of making targets out of people, and this call to arms. Was Donald Trump responsible for everyone who went to the Capitol that day? That's a conversation, an argument that people could have. Some people think he had no responsibility. Some people think it wasn't even Trump supporters who were in there. But of the people that seem to be more reasonable, and a prevailing wisdom about it is that he was responsible, at least in part, for what happened there. Well, that responsibility and that dialogue extends to what's happening right now in Pacific Heights. And so it's a really, really bad thing. And what we are doing is we are targeting people now. And even if you don't directly say, go to the speaker's house, these words, where is Nancy, those echo exactly what you heard those people on J6 saying to the microphones and to the phones, the telephones the cell phones that were recording it. And it's pretty scary.
Well, and it extends to secretaries of state and election workers. You're seeing record numbers of election workers resign, and they're being replaced by a doggedly determined right-wingers who have essentially intimidated their way into office. I mean, you can Google this. This is not just me heating up the rhetoric. It is absolutely true.
And in history, intimidation, when not taken seriously or not given the due that it deserves, has worked out very poorly. So it's important.
And I also point to those armed, masked dudes who were at the polling place in Arizona. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody still knows who they are. Now there's a police presence there. But this is the new face of these locations that where people vote that are oftentimes. Voters sometimes are averse to law enforcement being there, so it can have a chilling effect.
Yeah, no. In Pennsylvania, you have policemen at the ballot box, to law enforcement at the ballot box as they drop off ballots. There was a story that ran on CNN about a blind 90-year-old woman, them not accepting her daughter, who got out of the car to put it in the ballot into the box, not accepting it unless she actually came and did it. So she had to go back to the car and get it. You're allowed to bring your mother's ballot to the box. There's no exception to that, and it's really bad.
Questions in the chat again for Michael Shore.
Why don't you just text
First
it?
of all, people are saying be careful. Sometimes in these conversations, last Friday, you and I had a conversation, and for whatever reason, the artificial intelligence that monitors everything on YouTube thought that we were saying something that we weren't. They thought we were. I don't even want to repeat what the thing is because
that's interesting.
Yeah, they took down the entire episode because of it. So people are warning us again that this could happen. But look, we have to have a conversation, and so we're going to continue to have it. It was a mistake on the part of YouTube, and we went to appeal it, and we did appeal it, but they stood by the error. They stood by their mistake. It was crazy, but that's kind of the new world we live in.
I'd love to know about this later.
Yeah, so maybe most of the viewers, I reviewed it for them already, so I don't want to review it again right now, but I'll tell you about it off the air. So, but they're asking about Georgia as well. I'm getting questions. So Pennsylvania and Georgia are repeated questions in the chat.
Asking about Georgia, specifically about what I think is going to happen there in the races, or just
I suppose they said talk about Georgia. Was this what's happening in Georgia? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Georgia, I think Democrats are relying on split ballots on the Kemp Warnock voter, and what that means is Brian Kemp is running for re-election as governor. He has what seems to be a comfortable lead over Stacey Abrams for whatever reason, because Stacey Abrams was really a force there for such a long time, and is probably credited directly with Joe Biden winning Georgia and Raphael Warnock winning as senator there. And then
because she got out so much of the vote,
she was able to motivate people to vote and also to explain what was going on with the vote. And, she lost a little bit of her stature by never really accepting, not that she should have, because she didn't want to, accepting the results of the election in 2018 that made Kemp governor. But I do think that there are people in Georgia, Republicans in Georgia, who are, discomfited, to say the least, about voting for Herschel Walker, both not necessarily for what he stands for, and that, that if it was just what he stood for, if he was a candidate on paper, so many of these voters would vote for Herschel Walker. But because of what he has become on the trail, the kind of attention he has brought, his real lack of knowledge about the stuff that he's going to be very involved with if he's elected senator, has gotten Republicans, and a number of them I think will do this, and they poll that way, to vote for Kemp for governor and Warnock for re-election to Senate, even though these are not people who would ordinarily vote for Democrats. You also
they're looking at just social media.
Yeah.
You have to get 50% plus one vote in order to avoid a runoff, and that would be something that would be very important for Raphael Warnock to do.
By the way, I'll just make this point quickly. Walker is not a Georgian. Yeah, he's a Texan. He was raised in Georgia. He lives in Texas. His compound is in Texas. There are pictures of it all over you can Google this also.
Google it.
So it's this, he's lived, in Texas for a decade. Okay.
Yeah.
So
which is ironic because the Cowboys traded him.
It's
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
So anyway, but he's making it a tight race. I mean, I don't know if he's making it a tight race. Or,
it's not that he's making a tight race. It's a tight Senate, right? If this was let's say it was a 60-40 Senate one way or the other, this race wouldn't be that close. But you have Republicans, national Republicans, telling Georgia Republican voters that their vote may decide control of the Senate. Might not be wrong either. So you're relying on some Republicans to dismiss that and say, I still don't want this guy. But you have to remember, this is a state that has 2 elected Democratic senators. They voted for Joe Biden and gave him their electoral votes in 2020. So there is, in fact, some, history of a Democrat being able to win without a ton of Republican support, which they certainly didn't have in 2020.
Why don't you just text it?
John Smith says, I'm sure that's not his real name, and I respect that, by the way. The YouTube pseudonym, maybe. Or maybe it is his real name. I don't know.
Somebody's got to be named John Smith.
Yeah, somebody's got to be named John Smith. Good point. Maybe it is his real name. Yeah, apologies for that. I take back that comment. Ask Michael about Florida, specifically the Miami-Dade Latino vote. News has reported they are registering Republican. It is a weird thing that's happening with the Latino vote. I wonder if you could speak to that, Michael.
Yeah, well, first of all, a lot of the Latino vote in Florida has always registered more Republican than the Latino vote in other parts of the country, largely due to the Cuban population there. What we're seeing and what John's pointing out now is an uptick in the non-Cuban Latino vote registering Republican. There are a couple of reasons for that, and there are a couple of reasons that can be reversed as well. But one of the reasons for it is when Rick Scott was governor of Florida and the hurricanes happened in Puerto Rico, he did an exceptional job of welcoming Puerto Ricans and giving support and showing that Republicans can be compassionate in those times, especially juxtaposed to Donald Trump, who was going in and throwing toilet paper in San Juan. He was bringing people to Florida and making sure that the full force of the state was behind the effort to integrate them, to help them out, to get them to where their family was in northern and central Florida as well. And so I think there is a lot of holdover from that, especially with Puerto Ricans, which make up a good number of Latinos in Florida. The other part of it is there has been an outreach, a religious outreach from Republicans in Florida that has resonated with first and second generation generation Latinos in that part of the state. And I think also, and playing on race here, is that the Latino and Black populations of Florida don't have a sort of cozy history together, and juxtaposing that and playing on the worst sensibilities of voters there, they've been able to associate one with the other, and that hasn't really worked out well.
It's pointed out by multiple texters on the chat.
Text it?
Right here on YouTube, that juxtapose and juxtaposing are ding words. So there you go. All right. I like to keep track. I don't like to interrupt people when they're speaking, but I
never know whether it's good to be dinged.
It's good. Of course it's good. I mean, it's not. It's neither good nor bad, really. Right. But it's not a bad thing to be dinged, because when you get we just recognize those words that would likely show up on an SAT exam. I'm sorry. I'm looking at chats while I'm speaking with you. There are also races in the West. Carrie Lake, she's the darling of the GOP. She is a great candidate. I mean, what she spews is utter BS. But she is she looks good. She speaks very well. She's insanely media savvy, and increasingly, I think that carries the day because it's such a media environment.
Well, I mean, she's very telegenic. That's what she does for a living and has done for a living.
But she's unflappable too, Michael, I would say. In other words, she knows that thing where she just keeps saying it over and over. You can hammer her with follow-ups. It doesn't matter.
She's like the honey badger, right? Remember that meme of the honey badger? But
okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, I don't know that I can say that on
they might get dethroned for that. Yeah. Who knows?
We'll let that go. But
what?
But I'll send you the
please send the honey badger stuff to me.
The state just to the north of Arizona, much more important than whatever happens in Arizona. It looks like, in terms of national politics, what is going to happen in Arizona is that Mark Kelly's going to win that Senate seat. I would imagine the polling looks that way. Yes, it's going to tighten, and yes, Carrie Lake may have brought people to the polls that would not have been there, and they could support Blake Masters. I still think Mark Kelly's going to win. The tight race is in Nevada, where you have Adam Laxalt and Senator Catherine Cortez Masto running in that race. If Cortez Masto loses that race, that could really throw the Senate asunder, and it could challenge Democrat control. What's that, Kim?
And that's a really tight race. That's the one I wrote letters because of that race. So that's the one that it was neck and neck, and the one that had the biggest chance of being flipped.
Kim, how are you?
Unquestionably. And that's true. It's neck and neck. The last numbers I saw were 47-45. It's one of the tougher states to poll in the country. It always has been. So when you look at what the possibilities of that polling mean, if the unions get out the vote in Nevada, in Las Vegas and Reno, which is where the population bases are, it tends to, and it has over the last several cycles, worked well for Democrats. But if they're not able to do that and they can't get excitement going over an off-season Senate race like they do in presidentials, this is the one that could sneak up and really bite the Democrats.
Why is it tough to poll, Michael?
It's been historically tough to poll Nevada because of shift workers, right? Typical polling always happened at supper time. And the shift workers were always, if you get somebody at 6 p.m., you don't know if the people that are the breadwinners, the people that are the voters, the people that are most involved are actually at work at that time or not. So it's hard to, it's always been an elusive crowd, and it makes up a number of people there because Las Vegas is a 24-hour economy and its biggest population basis.
Do we know what the current polling is for that race?
The last I saw was Cortez Masto was up 47-45.
That's still too close for my liking.
No, that it is close, and it's closer than it should be. But by it's not the bluest state in the country either, and so it is bluing, and it is one that the Democrats thought that they could start to take for granted, but they certainly can't right now.
Michael, thank you for joining us. You can see Michael Shore on TYT. You can also see him here on the show every Friday. Very generous. I'll take any other last questions for Michael Shore, even a Niners question if you have any. Anybody?
What does your hat say?
What is the? Oh, it is.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah.
It says Under Armour Hockey.
Okay.
Is that a sponsorship deal?
Are you receiving something for that? Yeah.
Believe it. I am getting so much money for this appearance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you a hockey player?
I am, yes, I am. And I don't, this is ridiculous. I play on a team called the Honey Badgers, which is why.
I see why you got the Honey Badgers
I will
in there.
send that link to you, I promise. As soon as
this is, I didn't know that there was really a tie-in all along.
I wasn't plugging my beer league hockey team, I promise.
Yeah, save it for the jury, Michael. All right, look, it's been fun having you here. Thank you for joining us every Friday. Michael Shore, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Go Niners.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Oh, wow. We learned a lot. I didn't know that he played for a team called the Honey Badgers. That's very, very cool. We'll take a break for Kim's News. We'll check on the condition. I would think she'll include this of Paul Pelosi, what's going on with him, and the intruder into Nancy Pelosi's residence. Michael Snyder joins on the other side. Don't forget to smash the like button. That is really important.
Smash it with your iron rod.
If you have, 700 people watching and you only have 30 likes, that's not good. So smash it with your iron rod. It doesn't have to be the iron rod, though. But that is, look, if you've got an iron rod, use it, I suppose. But all I'm saying is please show us the like, show us the love. On the other side of Kim's News, I will recognize everyone who has been so generous today. You can donate through the stickers, through the super chat on YouTube. You can go to our Patreon site, everything you need to support us. And there's even a PayPal link now on our site, themarkthompsonshow.com. themarkthompsonshow.com. Have to mention it because we're trying to stay on the air and we can do it with your help. So thank you for helping us. Thank you for being here. Snyder next on All Things Movies and TV.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's 82-year-old husband is is in the hospital with a head injury. An attacker facing an attempted homicide charge. Police Chief Bill Scott in San Francisco said officers arrived and saw the intruder attack Paul Pelosi with a hammer. Chief Scott said the motive for what happened is still being investigated. It is thought Paul Pelosi will make a full recovery. Music legend Jerry Lee Lewis dead at the age of 87. The death of the rock and roll trailblazer confirmed today on his website. Known as The Killer, Lewis garnered more than 20 gold albums during a career that spanned more than half a century. Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen are now divorced. In an Instagram post, the NFL quarterback said it has officially been finalized after 13 years of marriage. Brady said they arrived at the decision amicably, and the couple will work together as parents to ensure their kids get the life they deserve. Fewer Americans signing contracts to buy existing homes as mortgage rates surge. The National Association of Realtors says pending home sales fell 10% in September. That more than double what economists expected. And SpaceX is preparing for a launch next week for the U.S. Space Force. A Falcon Heavy rocket will boost a classified payload into orbit just after Halloween. Scheduled for Tuesday morning at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. There's a Minnesota man who plans to set a world record for carving the largest pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern. He'll be joined today by a professional sculptor who will carve the fruit into a giant eagle. It's already in the Guinness Book of World Records as the heaviest pumpkin at 2,560 pounds. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, please give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can reach him on the web at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Tell your little friends the dreams do come true.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
Who is having that conversation?
Why are you yelling?
Can you let him finish, sir?
What's a guilty pleasure you have?
Yeah, a little bit of Middle Eastern feel. That was for my Jewish boys and girls. and then producer. I didn't think, that's true. But I felt like with the anti-Semitism on the rise, I had to serve up something for my Jewish boys and girls.
That's okay.
But you're right.
I support you.
But I think you're right. It had that feel of just in general that part, the Mediterranean. What is it? What would you call it? Mediterranean or the Middle Eastern feel? I guess that's what I want. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Levant.
John. The Levant. So right
and before we get to the contributions, I just want to point out, Kim, if you're seeing this, there's been multiple shots fired in Pittsburgh. So there's an active scene with unknown number of victims. CNN is reporting.
Oh, my God. This is just brutal. Just brutal. We'll follow that, and we'll also, wasn't Pittsburgh the scene of that, the mass shooting at the synagogue? Wasn't that right? Or am I wrong? Yeah, I think that's, the Tree of Life. Is that what they were? The Tree of Life? Anyway, that was, just weirdly, I mean, it could be anywhere because it's the United States of guns and mass shootings and massacres. Anyway, we'll watch that for you throughout the morning. Wow.
Yeah, that was Pittsburgh, the Tree of Life. Yeah,
the Tree of Life is Pittsburgh, right. I do want to recognize those who've been so generous. We do need your support. And so from Sharon Kidd, $49.99, come on, with a big shout out.
Big shout out.
To Sharon Kidd. Hi, all. Friday Fabulous Florida. Love it. Watching from Willits. Wow, I love Willits. Come on.
Big shout out.
Shout out to Willits, everybody. Joel McDonald, $50. Come on, Joel. That's so cool. Thank you, both of you, for the $50 donation. Super sticker from Gene. Thank you, Gene.
Kim, how are you?
No, it's thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's a pleasure. Linda, thank you for the $10.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, really appreciate the super sticker. Another week in the books. Yay, Mark and team. From Dennis Nichols, $8.10. I see what you did with the $8.10. I see it. It's war for the control of the country, says Mike Pauls in the chat. That's the way it's viewed, and it may indeed be. It's a sad fact, but the country is listing, I think, and there is a power grab going on, and it took, and there's always been a power grab going on, but it took on an ugly and aggressive armed tone, I'd suggest, under the last administration. But, you can't marshal that kind of support unless it's there. The last administration didn't invent this kind of hate. They didn't invent this kind of hostility and aggressiveness. The seeds of that are sown over long periods of time. So that's the situation. Law enforcement, yeah.
In Pittsburgh is that 6 patients from that shooting have been taken to the hospital. So there's no information on what their conditions are. And where the shooting happened, there is a church on that block, but it's unclear if the shooting happened at the church.
And this is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Just to
right, exactly. It's not Pittsburgh in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So it's an active scene, they say. It remains an active scene. We will continue to check in on that. I don't want to delay too much longer before I bring this guy in. He joins us on Fridays, and maybe he can take our mind off that while we do monitor the situation. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, everybody. Michael Snyder, hello. Culture Blaster is what he calls himself. I'll tell you that kind of before you say anything, Mike, I just want to remind people that you write for the Marina Times. He can be seen around town, knocking around the city on Polk Street, near the Royal Grounds, and then knocking around the city south of Market. He likes to hang out. The new Twitter building probably will have a number of vacancies. Michael, maybe you want to set up shop there.
I recollect a little trip down on foot past Market Street's Twitter building and homeless encampment out in front. So
yes. How about that? Right.
There was a lot of Musk in the air at the time. Oh, wait.
I
sorry.
see what you did.
Hey, come on. Hey, I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween weekend. And, I'm going to spend my afternoon eating delicious empanadas at the Royal Ground and then prepare myself for this evening's booty mashup at the Oasis.
Yes. Yeah.
big mashup party at the Oasis tonight. Booty is going to address Halloween with the usual flair and fervor. So props to Adriana and the rest of the gang. But
just for people who've never been to a Booty mashup, and there's one at the Oasis, as he says, it's worth a ride. It's pretty good. And then next week, can I tell the story about joining you at a Booty mashup? It was so much fun, but then getting into the conversation with the was it a transvestite?
No. Drag queen performers.
Okay, drag queen. I didn't know I'm sorry. I don't know please, ahead of time, I want to apologize because I know that the terminology changes. So, drag queen performer, I got into a misunderstanding with a drag queen performer, maybe the best way to put it. So
I want to apologize to the drag.
I want to apologize to the drag queen community, and I want to apologize to the.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian
drag queens. I want to apologize to them everywhere. Anyway, go ahead, Michael. I'll tell the story next week. Okay.
Well, it is Halloween weekend, and so scary news that Jerry Lee Lewis died. But considering the ups and downs in his life and his avowed embrace of that old time religion, I have a feeling that Jerry is somewhere very hot, dodging great balls of fire.
I see what you did with the great balls of fire. Oh, don't get my balls on that.
You got to do what you got to do. What you want to let's talk about movies. What do you say?
Thank you, please.
Okie dokie. We'll kick it off with Call Jane. Call Jane is based on the experiences of real people who struggled for women's reproductive rights, specifically inexpensive access to abortion in the 1960s at great personal cost, and who eventually helped bring about change. Today, we have reactionary forces trying to rewrite that chapter in history, kinda, and that makes Call Jane an activist drama. It's the account of Joy, a suburban Chicago wife and mother with a life-threatening pregnancy. So Joy, who is married to a successful lawyer, cannot get approved from the local hospital board to terminate her pregnancy. So desperate, she gets involved with a secret collective trying to provide safe haven to women in need of abortions, and finds herself becoming involved with the group and then committed to their cause. And this is, again, based on a real group of people. I think they call themselves the Janes or the Jane Coalition, or forgive me for not knowing the specifics. But Elizabeth Banks plays Joy, the housewife who gets radicalized. Sigourney Weaver plays the leader of the collective. And Wunmi Mosaku, who was in Loki, really great in the Loki miniseries, plays a black member of the collective who's lobbying to make abortions available for those who can't afford what a well-off woman can pay for the service. So initially the service is taking in money for their, secret abortionist who insists on, a certain fee, and not everyone can meet the fee. So it's a little bit about the class disparity as well. I got to say, well directed by Phyllis Nagy. Call Jane has an agenda, but this is an agenda that's becoming increasingly relevant these days. And the movie isn't preachy to the point of being heavy-handed. The cast is able, the story beats are engaging, and the intent is noble. Call Jane is currently in theaters.
So you think it's pretty good?
Yeah, it's a good, solid film. It is built around, a desire to bring people's attention to a problem that is,
that's now it's a contemporary problem now.
It is indeed. Staying in the realm of dramatized reality, The Good Nurse is a mix of hospital drama and police procedural, based on a strange and unnerving true story. There was a stunning number of patient deaths in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area during the late 1990s and early 2000s. But regardless of whether they were accidental or serial killings, they were apparently covered up by the lawsuit-fearing hospital administrators. And The Good Nurse addresses this real event and circumstance. So two exceptional lead actors, Jessica Chastain and Eddie Redmayne. Genre fans will know him from, the Harry Potter prequel movies. Anyway, they bring their skills to The Good Nurse and may not cure its issues, because there are some story issues, but they provide value to the project. Chastain plays a nurse and single mom with a heart condition who's befriended by a recent hospital hire. Helpful, seemingly compassionate male nurse played by Redmayne. Redmayne. Chastain and Redmayne. Yeah, it sounds like an ambulance chasing legal firm, doesn't it? Get in touch with Chastain and Redmayne. Anyway, they elevate a low-key, by-the-numbers script that sanitizes a lot of the dark doings that are recounted in the film. Ultimately, their fine-tuned performances put the good in The Good Nurse, which, for the record, was directed by Tobias Lindholm. It's also available on Netflix. So, if you have an account, nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's, these are terrific actors, and the story is pretty shocking.
So it's really a cover-up? You're saying there was a cover-up involved with this hospital? Is that it? Did I get that?
Well, not just with this hospital. These patient deaths would occur, and then the hospital administrators would just let the guy who they think was possibly responsible go.
I see.
And he would move on to another hospital.
Well, it's very Vatican City, very Catholic Church.
In its way. Hey, right. There's no cure for religious fervor, though, is there?
Yeah. How would you handle this?
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
And that's exactly. So that sounds like an interesting film, and you liked it. Okay, that's called The Good Nurse.
I like both of these movies are interesting in different ways. They're not great films. There are script issues in both cases, but they're carried by their stories and certainly by the casts.
I'm sorry. Next to go ahead. Yeah,
I was going to say the Good Nurse. The Good Nurse is kind of low key considering the topic, which maybe shows an even-handedness instead of an exploitive nature. But a way more emotionally potent movie is After Sun, Aftersun, After Sun, a poignant and resonant drama about a rare vacation getaway for Callum and his 11-year-old daughter, Sophie. This relationship is clearly a loving one, but adversely affected by Dad's strained rapport with the girl's mother. So they don't really get a chance to get off on their own that much. Thus, this is a big deal. The story is told from the standpoint of the adult version of Sophie, the daughter, as a collection of memories, and the result is very subtle but very affecting. It feels like it's something that's been taken from the life and genuine memories of the movie's up-and-coming director and screenwriter Charlotte Wells. We watch parent and child on one of those mid-level package tours to a slightly tacky tropical resort. I think at some point it seemed like they referenced that it was Turkey. But in any event, as the father tries to cope with the various grown-up issues that are dogging him while on the vacation, the daughter's oncoming pubescence begins to stir her hormones. So Paul Mescal, who was pretty great in the recent Irish small-town drama God's Creatures, is equally terrific as Callum, but it's Frankie Corio as Sophie who is a real find. She's one of those young actors who you just know are going to make big waves. I was very impressed with After Sun. It's very atmospheric. Not a lot happens, if you're expecting, Vin Diesel to show up on a motorcycle and start slaughtering people. That doesn't happen in After Sun, but it's a very good movie in theaters this weekend.
Wow. Okay. So that's in theaters. What else do you have for us, Michael Snyder?
Stop motion animation master Henry Selick, the guy who did the freaky and already classic movies The Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach, and Coraline, has teamed up with Jordan Peele for a pretty wonderful, slightly creepy, and definitely morbid romp into the world of Hellspawn, demons, and here's more Hellspawn, vicious real estate developers in the prison industrial complex. This thing has a little bit of topicality about it, too. Anyway.
Now, is this stop motion or is this live action?
It's stop motion. This is a stop motion animation film. And it's like, you've seen The Nightmare Before Christmas, am I right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so it's the guy that did that. Okay. So imagine how that looked, and now imagine there are,
Michael, my audience knows what stop motion is. You don't have to explain it in terms of another movie, all right? I mean, come on.
I'm worried about I'm not worried about the audience. I'm worried about you. Anyway, on the downside of this movie, it gets kind of scattershot because it's trying to nail various targets and generate some sentiment for its central character, who is a badass 13-year-old orphan girl named Kat Elliott, who lost her parents in a car accident that she feels was her fault. And for some unexplained reason, she now has powers connected to the underworld. Kat is enrolled in a rundown school for girls with a real kind of St. Trinian's vibe. And there she deals with a trio of meanish girls and befriends a brave trans character who becomes her companion on her crazy journey. On the upside, the movie reunites the ever hilarious comedy team of Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key, who play the titular demons Wendell and Wild.
Titular is a dang word. Yeah, go ahead.
I should hope so. So we're talking about a movie called Wendell and Wild. These nasty, scheming brothers are able to sneak out of hell to cause havoc on Earth because of their poorly explained connection to Kat. It never really made clear. But another asset here is the voice work by the seemingly immortal James Hong, who you may remember from Blade Runner, Big Trouble in Little China, the Seinfeld episode about the Chinese restaurant, and so on.
He's like 93 years old. He's still amazingly vital.
He's still banging it out. He was in, he did voice work in Turning Red, the recent Pixar Disney movie. Here he's the corrupt priest in charge of the girls' school. Look, this looks super cool, and it careens forward, and it has its funny moments. Look, if not up to Selick's best, Wendell and Wild still has many virtues, especially when it vilifies the greedy and the venal. Anyway, Wendell and Wild, like the movie The Good Nurse, is on Netflix as of today. So Netflix has been kind of a little mini bonanza, man.
Yeah, as it turns out, that's pretty cool.
At least for the weekend.
What's my situation? Do I have another minute or two with Michael Snyder, fabulous producer John Daly?
Fabulous producer John Daly.
We're still standing by, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, quickly.
Quickly, I want to talk about All Quiet on the Western Front. It's directed by German filmmaker Edward Berger. It's the latest version of the classic World War I novel, brutal and disheartening. It's a look at the grisly cost of war and the toll it takes in young lives. If you can handle the nightmarish experience of being on the battlefront and in the trenches of a conventional war, you must watch this. It follows the travails of a young, fear-fraught German soldier as the truth of his circumstances start to hit home. Masterful movie making with bold and kind of dizzyingly effective cinematography, and it makes a case for the sheer pointlessness of nation fighting nation. Exceptional, searing, tragic. It should be mandatory viewing for heads of state, you know, although that'll never happen since politicians seem to be so removed from the perils and the challenges faced by their constituents. When the bullets aren't flying and the bombs aren't exploding, it's in German with subtitles, and it's on Netflix as of today. Netflix triple feature, courtesy of your friend Michael Snyder.
Yeah, that's right. Remember Michael Snyder in your will because of these great recommendations. Did you look at all the Ticket to Paradise? Is that the George Clooney film?
Yeah. I remember you and Courtney were interested in Ticket to Paradise.
Well, more me than her, but yeah, you're right. I thought it looks fun, nice, feel good. None of those things. George Clooney and Julia Roberts. Come on, tell me something good about it.
That doesn't cast you in a very favorable light, as far as I'm concerned. Ticket to Paradise.
How dare you?
Do you know who I am?
I'm really. Michael is really coming after me today.
Mark,
I'm not happy about it.
Mark, I watched this thing for you, and are you ready? It's a feeble, puerile, predictable, laugh-free rom-com about David and Georgia.
What?
A bickering, long-divorced couple.
Puerile, however you want to say it, is definitely a ding word. Go ahead.
David and Georgia are a bickering, long-divorced couple of well-preserved, well-heeled olds whose daughter, Lily, has decided to not pursue a career in law, but instead marry a handsome seaweed farmer she met on a post-grad holiday to Bali.
I love it so far. What could possibly go wrong? All right, continue.
Invited to the wedding, the exes, who have great disdain for one another since their daughter was a toddler, must endure a tandem trip to beautiful Bali in hopes of talking Lily out of making the same sort of mistake.
This is a great premise with well cast.
Can you let him finish, sir?
Okay, I'll let him finish. Go ahead.
They made a mistake when they married young, they think, so they don't want her to do it. Mom, of course, is played by you-know-who, Julia Roberts. Dad is played by George Clooney, the star power aplenty, but all their charm and charisma and comic verve cannot make this retread plot and a weak script work. If you look, Mark, if you wonder if the battling exes reunite by the last scene and you want them to get back together, you're the target audience for this claptrap, is all I'm saying.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, it sounds like he really, really doesn't like Ticket to Paradise with George and Julia and all of them. He really does like, Michael Snyder does, All Quiet on the Western Front. He says it's a brutal watch, but it's an important watch maybe if you, if you can sit through the World War II recreation as brutal as it was. And
World War One, Mark. World War One.
Oh, is that what it is? World War One. Okay. Wait, by the way, was there another All Quiet on the Western Front film made or not?
Yeah, this is both of these things are based on a famous worldwide bestseller.
Yeah, no, I know it's a book, but I thought there was also another film.
This is not the first time they've made a movie of the book.
Wendell and Wild is the stop motion virtuosos offering that he did with Keenan. Which one? With
Jordan. He and
Peele.
He and Jordan Peele. Henry Selick and Jordan Peele wrote the script, and Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele reunite as the demons. Wendell and Wild.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to say. Wendell and Wild, and that's in theaters.
No, that's on Netflix, baby.
Oh, Netflix. Okay, Netflix. There, After Sun, which is is it Paul Mescal and Frankie Corio?
Yes,
I really like that. That's also on Netflix.
In theaters.
Okay.
Wait, we're going to get to a Netflix movie. Keep going.
Okay. The Good Nurse, based on a true story with Eddie Redmayne and Jessica Chastain. He really liked that. And,
I liked it with reservations, but the performances are exceptional.
Okay. He liked it with reservations, but the performances are exceptional is what I wanted to say.
Okay.
That's on Netflix?
That's on Netflix. It's a Netflix triple feature, and that was the third of the three.
Okay. And then Call Jane, which is the story of the true story of this secret collective to get abortions. It's based on the real stories. I say Elizabeth Banks, Wunmi Musaku, and Sigourney Weaver all in it. Apparently a really compelling film, and you liked that. Is that right?
I did. I liked it. It had some obvious
issues
moments
with script and
yeah, but it's a worthwhile film.
And that's Netflix or that's theaters?
That's in theaters. Everything's on Netflix eventually, so don't worry, people.
Michael Snyder can be read in the Marina Times. He can be seen here and heard here on Fridays. Niners are in trouble, Michael. I don't know what to say.
They have got to pull out of this tailspin, and the Rams might be the way to do it. They're going to go to Levi's South, as we like to refer to SoFi Stadium.
There'll be a lot of Niners fans there for sure, yeah.
Let's bring that sea of red. I'm looking forward to the game, and we'll see. Christian McCaffrey knows the entire playbook now, and we are going to see if he is indeed the weapon I think he is.
He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween indeed. He's known as the Culture Blaster across all social media. Before I say goodbye to everyone for this week, I wanted to see if there was an update on the situation in Pittsburgh. Do we have any update on that, Kim?
We do. What we know is that at least 6 people were shot. It happened outside of a Pittsburgh church while a funeral was being held for a man that had been shot to death. So at this point, it doesn't look like any fatalities. You have 1 condition, 5 people in stable condition, and it's still an active investigation ongoing.
Thank you for that. And I'm sure Nikki on her show will keep that updated. Nikki Maduro's show follows on the Nikki Maduro Show channel. We do have the big Twitter Spaces tomorrow at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Nikki joins myself and Chip Franklin, and I believe we'll do that Twitter Space, as I said, at 1 o'clock. And we're looking forward to it. Twitter Spaces, you can find it on Twitter. You'll see it there at the top. And it's just a conversation about life after KGO. So that's why Chip's going to be there. I'll be there, Nikki, et cetera. And then I'll mention that coming up on Nikki's show, they discuss whether people should leave Twitter because of the latest acquisition and because of the return of Donald Trump, presumably. WashPo's Annabelle Timsit is going to join from London to talk about Prince Harry's book, Spare, and Tim Sika joins them to talk about movies. That's all going on Nikki's show. I want to thank Steve Moskowitz, who is just the coolest. 888-TAX-DEAL. Reach him for any tax question, MoskowitzLLP.com. You see flashing there for a moment was the Steve Moskowitz number, but also the KGO and Exile t-shirt, which you can get at getmarkmerch.com. Getmarkmerch.com has a limited edition KGO and Exile t-shirt. They're in black or white. Yes, you can get it in black or white. The KGO and Exile t-shirt for the Mark Thompson Show. So appreciate it. All the proceeds will go to keeping the lights on here at the show. So that really is something that we appreciate. It's been a great week. I've got an email that says, Mark, I can't like the embedded YouTube videos on your homepage don't have thumbs up. No, you have to go to YouTube. On the YouTube platform, that's where you can hit thumbs up. So when the embedded videos don't have a thumbs up. That's absolutely right. And the PayPal link is up on this person says, I prefer a PayPal link by the YouTube's by myself. I don't know what you're saying, but we do have the PayPal link on our home page, themarkthompsonshow.com. So themarkthompsonshow.com takes you to everything, our Patreon, our PayPal. You can make contributions anywhere you want. And don't forget to smash the like button while we're still on.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Thank you all. I'm talking about Tony. I'm talking about Kim.
Kim, how are you?
I'm talking about the great
fabulous producer John Daly.
Producer John Daly. Thank you for all the help. We're scrambling to get you an improved show every day. It's all we do. John and I were talking about the fact that it's just wall to wall, scramble. Kim's trying to get a better connection, so she's working on that. And Tony is making these late night runs to the studio to try to connect us with different wiring and all the rest. It's really it's a group effort, but we could not do it without you, the community, and we couldn't do it without Steve Moskowitz underwriting so much of this. I mean, really, his money allows us to keep the lights on, and I consider him an elite sponsor because what he does is provide a really important, competent, and exceptional service to the audience. So, thank you. I really needed my fabulous Friday fix. Yeah, it was pretty good. Friday Fabulous Florida I thought was good today. We delivered a scooter chase, and we also delivered alligator. I always feel good if there's a gator story in there. Next week, we have a python story, which you'll very much enjoy. We're already working on next week's Friday Fabulous Florida. Julie, thank you in Southern California for the love. Love it. All right. That's it, everybody. Head over to Nikki's show. And
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Until next time. Bye-bye.